we'll take some questions now for Art, so who wants to start us off?
Okay. When you were in the mines, transferred over, were you married at the time, or?
That's a good question. In my early years, yes, I was married in the minor league. In the early years, I wasn't. I was just 18. First year was 18. The next year in Topeka was 19. And then the next year I was in Macon, Georgia. And wasn't married then either. And the next year I was in AAA. Of all places to play in AAA, I was in San Diego, which was a great place to be. It was a Reds AAA team. I got married in the summer of 1963, very young, and married somebody very young. And it seemed like it was the thing to do back then. Everybody was getting married, but it was a tough life. But being in San Diego was kind of balanced it out because it was a wonderful place to be in minor league baseball. But then they eventually in '69 became a big league city. But it was I've led a great life. I guess, and it took me a while to get to the big leagues because of the less amount of teams. But the reality of it is everything's been good because I played on that championship team. And you know, it's interesting. I know I'm diverting a little bit, but you gave me a chance to just say this. You get a lot of people saying, "Don't you wish you were playing now, making all the money?" And my first response is, "Of course, wish I was making the money." You know, the average salary now, when I played, it was about $20,000, $25,000. I saw the opening day average salary in the big leagues was $4,300,000. It's a little bit different than now, but I wouldn't trade it for this World Series ring. And the other thing that's important is I got a chance to play with and against, I think, the greatest conglomerate of players in the history of the game. Remember in the National League back then, you had Mays, Aaron Clemente, all the great pitchers, Willie Stargell, Willie McCovey, Billy Williams, Frank Robinson, Rose, Perez, Johnny Bench. You had Colfax, Drysdale, Marichal, Sutton, Harry, Ferguson Jenkins, Bob Gibson, Steve Carlton, Tom Seaver, Jim Bunning. I mean, all these guys are in the Hall of Fame. They're all in the Hall of Fame. I got a chance to play with them, and that's just the National League. So I was very lucky. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and you know, I've come to grips with the realization that everything in life is timing. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. And these guys playing today, they're all bigger and stronger. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if they play the game any better, but it's all about being in the right place at the right time. And at times I do wish I was playing now. You know, it's pretty easy to say, hey, I wish I was making the money, but got great friends, and people like Andy who support that '69 team and know how important it was, and Freddie and everybody else they all know what it was to play back in those days. And I would say, just so you know, that Andy Parton's probably the best friend that 1969 Mets ever had. Andy was at can we say the name of the bank? Is that right? Sure. And he was at Chase Bank for many years when they were sponsoring the Mets, and did a lot of functions for us, with us, and really was instrumental in us kind of staying close to the game. And when he left the bank and when Chase stopped being a sponsor, it changed a lot of things around Chase Stadium. But he was a great friend to all the '69 Mets, and I really thank him for that. But I don't know, I guess I answered your question, but 1963 I got married. But,
do you ever wonder or think about what would have happened in right field when Juan Swoboda made that catch? Do you wonder if you would have made it? Are you glad?
Yeah, here the questions about the catch in Juan Swoboda, would I have made it generally? You know what I say? I say no, because I would never want to take anything away from Swoboda. He made a great play, one of the greatest catches in the history of the game, and I would never take anything away from him. Ronnie says now, you know, some people had a career, he had a catch. That's his new motto. And it was one of the most unbelievable catches, and had the presence of mind to get up, throw the ball home, run scored, and then when we tied the game, we won the game in extra innings. But I would never take anything away from his great catch that he made that day. So I wouldn't have made that play. Yes, sir.
My first memories of the Mets are actually the 1970 team. I was a little too focused on the space program the prior year, but that team started out very, very good, right? What happened down the stretch? I do remember the Pirates beat them right at the end.
In 70, yeah. We were still a good team, but guys just did not have the great years that they had before. I don't remember what Cleon hit. He hit 340 in 69. The National League was very tough back then. It was hard to repeat. You had great teams with Pirates, of course, and then Cardinals were always tough. There was a lot of good teams. The Cubs were still a good team back then. So there was, I can't explain what happened. We were all disappointed. I do believe that if Gil Hodges would have lived longer, the Mets would have won more championships. You know, Gil died at 1972 at the age of 47.
Wow.
And I think he was 2 days shy of his 48th birthday. And so I do believe the Mets would have won some more championships if he had been around longer. And I do believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. And that might be another discussion for another time, but he certainly deserves it and was a great manager. But it was tough to repeat. We didn't sneak up on anybody. Everybody was gunning for us, and some guys just didn't have the same kind of years, but it wasn't because we weren't trying, it was for sure. Anybody else? Up there?
So there's been some controversy lately with the Mets broadcaster, Ron Darling, airing some dirty laundry from the '86 team. I'm not going to ask you to comment on his stories, but I'm wondering, how do you think today's players on today's team react? Like, will they ever talk to him again at risk of he might write another book? I mean, how do you react to that?
Well, I don't know all the intricacies of that situation. The problem they're having now is some guys took the side of Lenny Dykstra and some guys are taking the side of Ronnie Darling. I don't think I'd ever want to write a book that even criticizes anybody. This book that I wrote really is about friendships, camaraderie, about love for your teammate, and it's also about aging. This is really about what happens to people, and really wanted people to kind of be a fly on the wall, to kind of listen to our conversations, feel like they're part of them, understand how close we were, and part of the reason we're close is because we were so bad years before. But to comment on it, I really don't know. I haven't read the book. I know Darling a lot better than I know Dykstra. It's hard for me to imagine him not writing what he believes is true. On the other hand, people saying it's not true, so I don't know. But I'm sure it's going to sell books. I'm sure it's interesting because the publisher is St. Martin's Press, who I saw where Dykstra is going to sue St. Martin's and the co-writer and Ronnie Darling. The first book I wrote was with St. Martin's Press, so I'm glad I got through that without anybody saying. But I understand the question. I just don't know. I don't know. I haven't read the book. I'm sorry to see that because they were teammates. I don't know how close they were as friends. I just don't know. But this book, After the Miracle, is really about the closeness and the friendship and the camaraderie still after 50 years. And I want people to understand that and see how friendships remain the same and stayed. And, we've lost 10 members of that team, including managers, 3 coaches, and the rest of the players. So we've lost a good chunk of that team, and all of them died way too young. Yogi was not young, but a good part of the guys that passed away were all young. So my concept of relaying something to fans like yourself is good. I just wanted good stuff to come out of it.
After coming in second to last in 68, what was the first indication in 69 that the Mets were as good as they were and that was going to be a special season?
Well, again, the question was, when was my first indication in 69 would be a special season? I just, again, remember what Gil Hodges said in spring training. If you just find ways to win some of these close games, you're going to be a heck of a better team. And he was right. I don't know of one game. The addition of Don Clendenin in June was really important for us. There's some right-handed power, some veteran leadership. He was a pain in the clubhouse, but he was a guy that we all liked, and it was just a combination of things. There was so many big important games that year. We all know about the Black Cat running on the field. We all know about the 1-0 games in Pittsburgh that both pitchers drove in the winning run. We know about Gil walking out and pulling Cleon off the field after he loafed after a ball down. I mean, all these things are part of that year, and you know, you can pick out one thing and say, hey, that was a turning point. But the one fact I do know is that we didn't start winning really start winning until the third week of August, and that was just a combination of just everybody contributing and playing well, and from pitching to defense to hitting, everything fell in our way, and we were just a team to be reckoned with. And I don't know what our final record was the last 45 days of the season, but it was really, really good. And we rolled over an Atlanta team that had Henry Aaron and Rico Accardi and Orlando Cepeda, Filippo Lu, terrific team. And then of course we beat the Orioles, and even though I made the last out of the only game we lost, it was still a great victory, and a team that was, many people thought was so far ahead of us, and that's the other beauty of looking back 50 years later and saying, hey, we beat a team that was, and they won it all the next year, you know, they won it all, so it was, all in all, it was a great year.